It was a beautiful sunny summer day, and the Appleton family were gathered on the patio. Craig, the head of the family, sat in the gazebo's shade, wearing a robe and a black bandage over his eyes. He sipped his coffee while his wife Diana sunbathed on a lounger with a cocktail, looking amazing with her perfect figure and impeccable looks. She fluttered her long, doll-like eyelashes and yelled at her stepdaughter Lisa, a 7-year-old child who was running around the pool trying to catch a butterfly with a net. "Lisa, stop running! Calm down! Can you play quietly for at least 5 minutes? Oh, naughty child." The girl was very active and cute, with curly brown hair and chubby cheeks. She looked like a little angel, but she had long been used to her stepmother's lack of affection, so she did not even flinch when scolded. A beautiful, huge butterfly with colourful wings landed on the edge of the pool. Lisa carefully took out her phone from her pocket and wanted to take a shot. She approached closer and closer to the edge of the pool and suddenly stumbled and fell head over heels into the water. Lisa started screaming and flailing because she could not swim well. "Daddy, Daddy, I'm drowning! Help me!" The father rushed to the pool in a panic, but he was almost blind and went very unsteadily, staggering and catching the space with his hands. He asked his wife for help. "Diana, can't you hear? Help Lisa, I beg you! I can't see anything. Where am I going?" But the woman did not even get up from the lounger, just protested. "You little brat! I told you to sit quietly. This will teach you a lesson. Stop shouting. Swim to the edge and climb out. Come on." Hearing the girl's cries, gardener Peter threw away his lawnmower, ran to the pool, and jumped into the water. He quickly pulled the girl out of the water. Lisa rushed to her father, hugged him in fright, and cried, "Daddy, I was so scared. I just wanted to take a picture of a butterfly. The phone also drowned. I didn't mean to." "It's okay, sweetie. We'll buy you a new one. These are just little things. The main thing is that you're alive and healthy. Go change clothes in the house. But please be more careful. Don't approach the edge closely. The tile is very slippery. Don't scare Daddy like that." Diana flew into a rage. "What a weakling you are! You should have punished her for disobeying. She almost drowned and ruined an expensive item. All you do is spoil her, and she's gone completely crazy. When are you going to find a nanny for your daughter? I can't deal with her. She's spoiled and unbearable." But Craig sharply rebuked Diana. "How dare you? She is almost drowned, and instead of helping, you were sitting here. Thanks to Peter. Lisa is just a child who has lost her mother. I love her very much, and you will have to accept that if you want to be with me. Do you think that if you have your own child, they won't run around and misbehave? And yeah, I will definitely find a nanny. I've already placed an ad. But you see, I'm blind now, so it's very difficult to do." Diana realized she had gone too far and quickly backed down. "Don't be angry, dear. I love you very much, you know that. But I can't be tied to Lisa all day. I have training, fitness, massage and a beauty salon. And now, moreover, your business and your daughter are on me. So hurry up and find a nanny. It will make life easier for all of us. Anyway, I have to go. I have a manicure at 12 and a massage at 2. Love you. Don't miss me too much." Lisa was happy that her stepmother was going to leave and quietly sat next to her father, hugging him with her little hands. "I'm sorry, Daddy, I didn't mean to. Why is Diana so mean? She doesn't love me and you. You just don't notice it. I miss my loving mummy so much. And you?" The father sighed, hugged his little girl. "I miss her too, my little one. She was the best. But you know, she's in heaven now." and Diana is not so bad. You're just not used to each other yet. But I promise you'll choose the nanny yourself. By the way, another candidate should be coming soon." The girl kissed her father on the cheek and ran off to play with her dolls in the yard, while Craig closed his eyes in pain and began to reminisce about his life. His first wife, Vanessa, was pretty and an excellent housewife. She was from a decent family, and most importantly, she loved Craig. They were supposed to live happily ever after. But no, 2 years ago she died of a serious genetic illness, and it all started after childbirth. At first her vision deteriorated, then her memory, then her arms and legs stopped working, and then Vanessa became bedridden and gradually faded away. It was so frightening, so scary to watch a young and beautiful woman become a helpless invalid. And Craig literally howled with helplessness, because no matter how much he spent on the medicine in the world, he couldn't get her back on her feet. After Vanessa's funeral, their daughter withdrew, cried for a long time, and still mourned her mum. Craig also thought he would never be able to live with anyone else. But one day, at a business dinner in a restaurant, he saw Diana. She was sitting with a friend, drinking martinis and chatting merrily about something. The business dinner also smoothly turned into fun, with dancing, and now they were dancing a slow dance, and Craig was powerless against the young and desirable body and the onslaught of the beauty. That's how their romance began, which ended in a quick wedding. Diana quickly settled in and felt like the mistress of the house. She confidently gave tasks to everyone and commanded. But she and Lisa just couldn't get along. And it was mutual. To be honest, Craig believed that Lisa was just jealous of him and his new wife, and that it would pass with time. But even after 2 years, the situation did not improve. The stepmother and stepdaughter openly fought. And recently, 2 weeks ago, that terrible incident happened. Their driver, Tim, asked for some time off for personal reasons, and Craig had to get behind the wheel himself. At work that day, a businessman stayed late. As he was approaching his car in the parking lot, 3 bandits attacked him from behind. He started fighting, but one of the criminals sprayed pepper spray directly into his face. Fortunately, a patrol car passing by scared off the hooligans. However, the eye's burn turned out to be so serious that Craig almost went blind. Now he had to walk around wearing black sunglasses or a blindfold while he was undergoing intensive treatment. The doctors warned him that if the medications didn't help, he would need an operation to restore his vision. This gave him some hope, but he was still terribly nervous. Craig was practically disabled for a while and was forced to stay home. What was most annoying to the businessman was that he couldn't understand who he offended so much. He hadn't had such sharp conflicts in a long time. Now he had to manage the company from home, talk to partners on the phone, and hold online conferences. Surprisingly, his wife, Diana, quickly got involved in the business and plunged headlong into this. Craig's thoughts were interrupted by a pleasant voice. "Good afternoon. Are you Craig Appleton?" "My name is Carol. I came for the nanny vacancy. I am scheduled for 12 o'clock. The businessman smiled. He couldn't see his interlocutor, but for some reason he decided that she was a pleasant young girl. He started asking questions. "Carol, how old are you? Have you been working with children for a long time? Do you have recommendations from your previous job? And what kind of education do you have? I just love my daughter very much, and I want to find a real professional for her." Carol sighed. "Then I probably won't suit you. I have no recommendations. but I love children very much and am ready to work for a small fee. I have already met with Lisa. She's a wonderful girl. I promise to be with her all the time, to teach her." At that moment the girl ran up. Seeing that her father was hesitating and frowning, she started speaking cheerfully, winking at Carol. "Daddy, let's choose Carol. I really like her. And by the way, you said recently that I would choose a nanny myself, didn't you?" The man weighed all the pros and cons. Carol seemed too young for a nanny, only 23, no experience, no recommendations at all. Who knows what kind of person she is? But her voice, what a wonderful voice she has. And Lisa really liked her. This was the first time. Oh well, what will be will be. "Okay, Carol, you're hired, but with a trial period. You can start right now. There's a schedule of lessons and a daily routine in Lisa's room. Plus, you'll have to take the child to dance and drawing classes, walk with her, help her with her homework, make sure she eats well, and report to me about any changes in her health. Is everything clear?" The girl almost cried with happiness. She really needed this job. "Thank you. You won't regret it. I'll try very hard." From that day on, Carol started working for the Appleton family. She did an excellent job. Lisa simply adored her. She didn't pressure her, didn't scold her. They were more like friends. If Carol noticed that Lisa was starting to slack off or didn't want to write the unfortunate letters, she would resort to a trick. She would immediately organize a competition. "Okay, whoever completes the task faster and better will get the biggest and most delicious vanilla ice cream. And whoever loses will have to eat oatmeal for 2 days. Personally, I hate oatmeal. What about you?" Lisa panted and wrote those hateful letters of the alphabet, trying to outdo Carol and not eat unpalatable oatmeal. Craig was happy with the new nanny. His daughter was doing well academically and had a good mood. In the evenings, she enthusiastically talked about Carol, teaching her how to make a fancy hairstyle or create macrame. Only Diana was not thrilled with the new nanny and kept muttering, "You choose a strange nanny for Lisa. Not only is she a young upstart, but she spoils your daughter more than you do. What kind of upbringing is that? We need to be stricter with Lisa, otherwise she'll just relax." The girl started to ignore me. Before, at least, she would get angry, but now she just keeps quiet and goes to Carol. Craig laughed and said, "You will not be contented with anyone, my dear. No nanny is bad, but having a nanny is also not good for you. If Lisa is rude, you don't like it. If she doesn't say anything, also bad. Maybe you just don't want to find a way to connect with the child." Diana pursed her lips and grudgingly fell silent, thinking to herself, "Do whatever you want. Just keep that annoying girl away from me. I'm so tired of her." There was a grand piano in the mansion, and Craig used to be a musician in the past. Sometimes he felt nostalgic and played some melodies on it. But when he heard Carol and Lisa playing the dog waltz together on the piano and laughing merrily, he almost fell off his chair. He asked Carol, "Carol, do you play the piano? I'm pleasantly surprised. I was a musician in the past too. Play something else. I'm curious to listen." The girl blushed and replied, "I'm not a specialist. I just had a good music teacher in the orphanage. She taught me and said I had talent, but I really love music, especially this melody. It touches my heart." And Carol played a slow and romantic tune. And Craig literally fell into a stupor. Tears willingly rolled down his cheeks, and everything in his soul was overturned by the old experiences of his youth. He kept repeating to himself, "My God, this is simply impossible." When Carol had finished, he thanked her and asked, "Tell me, where did you learn this melody? It isn't recorded anywhere, that's for sure. Moreover, it was written by a person I had known." "My neighbour Rachel taught me how to play it," replied Carol. "She's a good woman, talented. If you could hear how she plays. But she has a lot of trouble now. Her son was taken away, and she was fired from work for no reason. She's in deep depression. I try to encourage her as best I can." Craig's heart was racing, and his legs became weak. He asked for more details. "How old is your neighbour? What's her last name? How old is her son? Why was he taken?" Carol sighed. "Rachel's last name is Lesnikova. She's about 30. I didn't ask, to be honest. And her son's name is Adam. He's 9 years old. He's such a wonderful boy, smart and serious beyond his years. I don't know if Rachel was married or who Adam's father is, but she once mentioned her first and tragically failed love. Last time, Rachel worked as a music teacher in a private school. She earned a decent salary and worked hard, but then the director set his sights on her. He is already married, over 50, with even grandchildren, and he kept harassing her, threatening that if she didn't agree to sleep with him, he would make her life so miserable that she would come crawling to him, begging for intimacy. But Rachel was not one to back down, and when the director began to shamelessly grope her under her skirt right in his office, she slapped him and threatened to go to his wife and write a statement to the police. That's when the old goat went crazy and really made Rachel's life a nightmare. When she was away, some people opened her apartment so carefully that it couldn't be detected and made a mess, scattering cigarette butts and empty whiskey bottles everywhere. And as soon as Rachel entered her home with her son, whom she had picked up from school, the child services and fake witnesses burst in. She didn't understand herself where this mess and filth came from. So they took Adam away, saying that Rachel was drinking and not taking care of her son, and so on. But that's a complete lie. I often visited my neighbour. Her house was always clean, I swear. She didn't even smoke, and we could only have a little wine on birthdays or other holidays. In short, Rachel was in shock. She was pounding on the doors of all the authorities, trying to get her son back and prove that she was slandered, but all in vain. The director also fired her from her job and even embarrassed her in front of everyone, telling everyone that she was an alcoholic and an irresponsible mother, and that she didn't belong in school. Since that day, Rachel has completely lost her spirit, spending all her time under the windows of the orphanage crying. Adam suffers there too, begging to go home. Just imagine what it's like for a little homely boy to end up there. They only show how wonderful it is on TV, how the children are well fed and dressed there. I was an orphan and had been living there. It's a nightmare. I feel so sorry for both Rachel and Adam. I would personally strangle this mean old man with connections who ruined my neighbour's life for his lust. Craig was shocked with what he had listened, and tears flowed from his eyes, irritating his already damaged eyes. Everything matched. It couldn't be true. He asked it with a trembling voice. "Carol, I beg you, bring Rachel here tomorrow. I really need to see her, or at least hear her. You see, we had known each other, but it's a long story. Just do as I ask." The girl was very surprised, but nodded. "Okay, as you say. I'll come with her tomorrow morning, if she'd like to, of course. But how do I explain everything to her?" The man said with a breaking voice. "Just tell her that Craig is waiting for her." When Carol came to feed Lisa lunch, Craig locked himself in his office, clasped his head in his hands, and began to remember his youth and Rachel. Craig grew up with his mother alone. He never knew his father. In childhood, she told him fairy tales that his father was a polar explorer, a geologist. But when the boy grew up, he understood everything himself and no longer asked stupid questions. From early childhood, Craig adored music. He could sit for a long time and listen to a favourite melody, and once, when he and his mother were visiting acquaintances, the 5-year-old boy sat down at the piano and, simply playing the keys, could play a simple tune. His mother decided to send him to a music class, where he met Rachel. Craig well remembered how stunned he was when he saw this cute skinny girl with 2 huge bows and sheet music folder in her hands. They were seated at one desk, and from that day on, Rachel and Craig became best friends. Then they decided to enter a music college together, made their first serious successes, and performed at concerts. Over the years, their childhood friendship gradually turned into true love. Rachel was always so airy and dreamy. For her, everything material was not the main thing. She lived with love, music, and didn't pay much attention to the fact that musicians' salaries were small and they had to live on a shoestring, saving on everything. But all of this really irritated Craig. Like any man, he dreamed of having his own house, a cool car, dressing well and living comfortably. That's why, after finishing college, he didn't pursue further education and instead tried his hand at trading and starting his own business. This caused the couple to argue more and more. "Craig, what are you doing? Don't give up on music. It's your talent. You're really gifted. Your fingers were made for playing, creating." But the man got angry. "Rachel, I don't understand you. You're not of this world. Don't you see that we're poor? How and what are we going to live on? On the few pennies we earn from music? Who needs those concerts now? I work to give you these gold earrings, to dress well and eat well. Another girl would be happy with that. And you? You could give private lessons and earn good money yourself instead of trying to teach me how to live." Rachel was deeply offended, took off the earrings and threw them in her fiancé's face. "Take them! They're not a gift if you're going to use them against me. Maybe it's better for us to break up. I don't understand you. I don't know what happened to you, why you've changed so much. You've become harsh, dry and soulless. I want a quiet, simple family life. I don't need wealth. The main thing is loyalty, trust and love. And you've gone crazy, obsessed with these monies. You disappear for days, your eyes are red, you've completely given up music. When was the last time you sat down at the piano? I won't give private lessons. I won't take money from children." Craig waved his hand angrily. "Well then, leave. Live your life the way you want. But you'll regret leaving me. I'll become a big businessman. Then we'll see." So they argued and foolishly broke up without any good reason. Craig pursued his career and soon opened a chain of auto repair shops. He worked day and night like a squirrel in a wheel. Then he met Vanessa, got married, had a daughter, and other worries began. In this crazy whirlwind, there was no time to look back. His wife's death greatly weakened the man, but then he met Rachel and succumbed to her charms. It cannot be said that he did not love Diana. There were feelings, passion and attachment, everything except for that unique, light and pure feeling of happiness and trembling he had experienced when he was with his Rachel and music. And only now, when he heard that same melody from his youth, written by Rachel, his heart constricted and a wild longing came over him. He desperately wanted to meet Rachel again, to talk heart to heart. No matter how you look at it, first love lives in a person's heart all their life. It's never forgotten under any circumstances. The man could barely wait for the next day. He meticulously shaved and got ready in the morning. He couldn't wait for Diana to leave for the beauty salon. Her mindless chatter about rags and washing bones for neighbours and acquaintances was driving him crazy. Carol took Lisa to school and returned home not alone, but with Rachel. Though Craig could only see a blurry silhouette, the light scent of her floral perfume and her gentle, bell-like voice hadn't changed. The woman exclaimed, "Craig, is it really you?" When Carol told me yesterday that Craig wanted to meet me, I was surprised. "And you've changed so much. You've become a brutal and prominent man. What happened? Why did you want to see me? And why do you have a black bandage over your eyes? Are you sick?" Craig listened to her words and tears streamed down his face. He took Rachel's hand and felt its softness and delicacy with long fingers made for music. The man began to kiss and caress each finger and whispered, "My dear Rachel, how happy I am to see you, to breathe your scent. We were such fools to break up back then. You ask what's happened to me. 2 weeks ago a bunch of ruffians attacked me and sprayed me with pepper spray in the face. Now I'm almost blind. I can only see blurry silhouettes. The doctors say I need an operation. But that's not important. Carol told me that you have a son, Adam. Rachel, tell me, is he mine? Tell me the truth. Do I really have a son?" The woman sighed and answered softly, "Yes, Craig. Adam is your son. I haven't been with any other men except for you. No matter how hard I try to forget you, to get you out of my head, I can't. But they took my little boy from me. My heart is breaking. I can hardly sleep. I just sit and wait outside the orphanage, hoping he'll wave to me out of the window. What did I do to deserve all this? I never did anything wrong to anyone. How I hate that lecherous goat who had ruined my whole life. He's paid everyone off just to hurt me as much as possible. I'm so desperate that I'm about to agree to his terms, just so he'll give me my son back. There's no other way." Craig squeezed her hand tightly and almost shouted, "No! Don't even think about it. I'll help you get your boy back. Give me all his information, and yours too. I'll find the right people, hire the best lawyers, and together we'll bring down that wretch. I have connections in the police department. Remember Henry Black? You won't believe it, but he's already a police captain. So don't worry, I'll get Adam back. I won't let my son wander through orphanages. Please trust me, Rachel. Everything will be fine. I've never met anyone like you, and now I won't let you go. Know that." They said their warm goodbyes, and Rachel truly regained hope. Craig called Henry, and he quickly agreed to his classmate's request, suggesting that they carry out the operation. Rachel had to call the director and pretend to agree to his terms and set up a meeting. They gave her a microphone, and her task was to make her boss confess to everything. Then he can be caught. And so she did. Rachel was distressed, but she was ready to do anything for her son. She took a deep breath and resolutely dialed the director's number. He reluctantly answered. "You finally agreed, stubborn girl? Or why are you calling?" Inside Rachel, anger boiled and she could barely hold herself back. But she answered as gently as possible. "Edward, I beg you, give me back my son. I agree to anything. Let's meet. Tell me where and when." He smirked. "Well, let's meet. Tomorrow at 6 in the evening in my office. There's also a comfortable couch for discussions. I'm waiting for you, my sweet little bird." Rachel felt sick from the lecherous man's words, but she pulled herself together, dressed as provocatively as her upbringing allowed her to, a blouse with a deep neckline, a pencil skirt and high-heeled shoes. She applied more lipstick to her already plump lips, carefully hid and checked the recording device, and went to the director on shaky legs. The detective said that if the situation got out of control, Rachel would open the window. The woman knocked and entered the office. The director was sitting in his chair, lounging and grinning hungrily. He appreciatively looked Rachel up and down and said, "Good evening, my little bird. I see that the situation has been good to you, and you've become more talkative. Good job. It's been a while. Ooh, what an appetizing body. I'm burning up. Come on, take off your clothes and let me admire you." Rachel nearly choked on his audacity and was petrified. What if he attacked her? But the thought of Adam and the operatives outside gave her courage, and she started taking out champagne and sweets. "Edward, why so fast? I can't do it that way. Let's drink. Relax." He didn't object, uncorked the champagne, poured alcohol into glasses. Meanwhile, Rachel got to the point. "Edward, before we, I must be sure that you'll give me back my son. Can you promise me that? I know you're the one who's responsible for what happened, but how did you manage to do it? I don't understand. How did you manage to tarnish my good name?" Edward grinned. "You should have been more agreeable from the start. Then there wouldn't have been any problem. No one has the right to turn away from me. Do you think that my secretary and the physical education teacher work here for nothing? They turned out to be smarter than you, and now receive excellent salaries and a regular bonus. As for you, there's nothing complicated. My good and very close acquaintance works in the guardianship authorities, and it was thanks to my patronage that she got there. So she paid me back. She put your boy in an orphanage, and I hired bandits and witnesses to that mess in your flat. Money solves everything these days, believe me. Well, I liked you. I fell for you. So the more pleasure you give me, the faster you'll get your son back. So, are you relaxed now? Take off your clothes. You talk too much." Rachel realized that she couldn't delay any longer. Pretending to unbutton her blouse, she walked over to the window and opened it quickly. She began to pray and wait for the police officer to arrive. The director completely lost control and, with surprising agility for his age, ran up to the woman and began to indecently touch her, trying to rip her blouse off. Rachel started screaming and fighting back, repulsed by the old man. Edward began to push her, knocking everything off the table. "Shut up, you fool! There's no one here anyway. Even the janitor has left. Why did you decide to fight again? Have you lost your mind?" At that moment, the flimsy door burst open with a crash, and the operative burst into the office. He swiftly arrested the scoundrel and rebuked him. "Shame on you, engaging in such indecent behaviour at your age. And you're a married man. You already have grandchildren. How will they feel about learning what their grandfather has been up to?" The director cursed and struggled to break free. "You had me wrapped around your finger. You'll pay for this. I have connections, you know." The policeman quickly shut him up. "We'll deal with your connections later. How did you manage to take this woman's child and cover it up?" Rachel finally relaxed, exhaled, and burst into tears from the stress she had just endured. "Will they return Adam to me now? He confessed to everything, didn't he? Did I do everything right?" She handed the officer a recording device. He reassured her. "We'll sort everything out. I think you'll be reunited with your son soon. Don't worry. And we'll send the scoundrel to prison. People like him belong behind bars." The case made headlines, and the lecherous director was convicted. The townspeople were outraged that he had worked at the education institution for so many years. Rachel was reinstated at work, and her good name was restored. Most importantly, she was reunited with her son. The woman wept and kissed her little boy without stopping, and he couldn't let go of her embrace either. Meanwhile, Craig eagerly awaited the meeting with his son. He was so absorbed in Rachel's problems that he had completely forgotten about Diana. But she had been watching everything from the sidelines and decided to clarify the situation. "Darling, what's going on? You're always on edge making phone calls and talking about Rachel and her son. Can you explain something to me?" The man couldn't see the young wife's contorted, angry face, but he strongly felt the hatred and anger emanating from her. At that moment he realized he no longer wanted to live with her. It was obvious she would never get along with his daughter. Furthermore, Craig didn't really love her that much. It was more of a passion, an obsession that quickly dissipated. Diana had become more and more impudent, taking control of everything in his house and becoming almost uncontrollable, imagining herself as the mistress of everything. Craig sighed heavily and began an unpleasant conversation. "You're right, Diana. We needed to talk seriously for a long time. First, I'll answer your question. Rachel is my first and long-standing love. We studied together at the music school. Then we foolishly broke up. It turned out that she was already pregnant, but didn't even know it yet. She gave birth to a son named Adam. So now I'm the father of 2 children, Lisa and Adam." Diana exploded. "Even better! Are you saying that besides your spoiled daughter there will also be a boy living here? That's terrible! I don't even want my own children yet, and you're pushing someone else's on me." Craig bitterly smiled. "You didn't listen to me, Diana. Our romance spun so fast and quickly that I couldn't even understand anything myself. But the passion quickly faded, and 2 years later we are almost strangers. You don't get along with Lisa, and apparently you're not going to find an approach to her. When I saw Rachel after many years, I realized that I still love her, like in my youth. I understand it's unpleasant for you to hear this now, but I'm not going to lie. Tomorrow I'm going to talk to the doctor about the eye surgery, and then we'll probably have to part ways. Don't worry, I'll leave you the apartment in the residential area and the car I gave you. And then, well, sorry, you're on your own. You'll have to find a job and live like everyone else. Diana jumped up and screamed in a voice not her own. What a statement! I'm your wife, so half of all your property and business is mine. I'll take everything that's rightfully mine. Ungrateful! I've been living with you for 2 years, putting up with your unbearable daughter. At least you could say thank you. By the way, I'm not going to live with you anymore either. I don't need another burden on my shoulders. I'm only 25 years old, my whole life ahead of me. I want to have fun, enjoy life, not take care of someone else's children and a blind husband. Here, Craig couldn't take it anymore. So that's how you talk. While I was healthy, giving you gifts, buying you gold, being a good husband. Now that I'm disabled, I'm not good enough for you. Well, then we can say goodbye right now. I won't keep you any longer. Diana realized she had said too much and changed tactics. Honey, wait! Let's stop now. We both got angry and said too much. Let's wait until you get better and recover before we have this unpleasant conversation, okay? Craig, don't rush into surgery. The doctor said a month, not earlier. Otherwise, God forbid, there may be complications. Come to me. I'll kiss you. But it all sounded so insincere and fake that the man just pushed away from his wife and sharply replied, As you wish. I've said everything. Sorry, I need to listen to the recording of the meeting sent by my deputy. Diana quickly left the man's office, boiling inside with anger. Ooh, you miserable invalid. He's leaving me an apartment? But what am I supposed to live on? Go work? God forbid. I'm not meant for this. Just wait. I'll get you. You'll remember me for a long time. Craig didn't listen to his wife and decided to consult a professor. Rachel offered to go with him to support him as a friend. It was so touching and pleasant. Carol and Lisa had their after-school activities that day, drawing, sculpting. They came home late and froze. There was a terrible mess in the house. The safe was open and empty, and many expensive things and technology were missing. Carol was scared to death and immediately called the police and Craig. We have an emergency. Lisa and I just got back, and here it is. You've been robbed. Everything's turned upside down. The safe's open. There's no TV. There were documents on your shelf. Maybe something else. I can't tell right away. I called the police. Come quickly. The man ordered Carol. Okay, go with Lisa to the children's room. Lock yourselves in and don't open the door for anyone until I get there. I'll be there soon. He immediately forgot about his illness. Craig turned on the camera, recording, and was horrified by what he saw. Diana and the driver, Tim, were running around the house, grabbing everything in sight: electronics, jewellery, money, and valuable papers. The wife had no idea that there were cameras, so she got angry and shouted, There you go, hubby. You'll remember me yet. Tim responded with anger. What a lucky wretch. We couldn't finish him off then, only blinded him. Otherwise, we would have sent Lisa to a shelter and lived here like kings. And where did the patrol come from? They never passed by there before. Diana shouted at Tim to hurry up, since the nanny and Lisa would be back any minute. They needed to sell everything quickly and order tickets to a warm place. Craig was in shock. The police quickly took the fingerprints and rushed to catch a couple of lovers. Craig's daughter hugged and comforted her father. "I told you a long time ago, Daddy, that Diana doesn't love us. She's mean and bad, and you didn't believe me. You'll kick her out now, won't you?" Craig kissed his princess. "You're growing up so fast. Yes, Diana won't be living with us anymore. But I would like to introduce you to a nice woman. Remember when she came to visit us once? Her name is Rachel, and she has a son, Adam. He's your brother. It's a long story. You'll understand when you're older. I really hope you two get along. And Diana and Tim will definitely be punished by the police and sent to prison." The daughter suddenly asked anxiously, "Daddy, what did the doctor say? Will your eyes be able to see again?" Craig answered his daughter, "I'm going for surgery on Monday. You and Carol will be together all the time, and Adam will be with you too. His mother will go with me to the hospital. Please listen to Carol in everything. Be a good girl." The police quickly found the lovers by following the hot trail to Tim's apartment, handcuffed them, and took them to the police station. Now both of them faced a decent sentence for attempting to harm Craig and stealing from him. Diana was in a panic. The grey, damp government walls, the dirty mattress, and the terrible gruel filled her with indescribable horror. Only now did she realize what awaited her. She cried day and night and cursed herself, saying, "Fool! Idiot! Why didn't I just live peacefully? And now what? What did I ever get involved with this Tim? I need to meet with Craig urgently and beg for forgiveness. He's kind, he'll forgive me. I agree to get out of this city as far as possible. Anywhere, as long as it's not prison." Meanwhile, Craig filed for divorce, leaving all the hassle to his lawyer, and went in for surgery. Rachel was by his side. Carol stayed at home with the children. Adam was initially shy and embarrassed, but the lively and restless Lisa quickly befriended him and found a common language. Within a day, he felt at home in the Appletons' house. After school, they always went to visit Craig in the hospital. The operation was successful, and soon the bandage would be removed from his eyes. Everyone was eagerly and anxiously waiting for this moment. During this difficult time, Craig, Rachel, Carol, and the children became so close that they truly became one big and friendly team. Lisa and Adam understood that their father was sick and tried not to misbehave or upset him, especially since they always had fun and interesting times with Carol. Finally, Craig was able to wait, and his bandage was carefully removed. Bright light immediately hit his eyes, and he instinctively closed them. Tears streamed down his face. Then he slowly began to open them, and finally saw the world as it was before the tragedy. The doctor examined Craig and was satisfied, ordering him to prepare for discharge. When Craig himself walked out of the office, smiling broadly, and saw Rachel in the hallway, he exclaimed, "My dear, I knew you hadn't changed at all over the years. You just became even more beautiful. The same lips, curls, long eyelashes, and the lock tucked behind your ear. Rachel, you are so beautiful. Finally I can look at you admire you every second, and see my son. Thanks to Carol, I will be grateful to her for the rest of my life for playing our melody on the piano. Believe me, I almost fainted. Everything in my soul stirred. You wrote it yourself, Rachel. How happy I am that you have appeared in my life again. I am ready to sell all this business. To hell with it. It has been a thorn in my side. I have earned enough money over the years for my whole family to live comfortably for many years. So let's try to live as you want. In love, peace, enjoying each other, and beloved music. Are you okay with that? Rachel cried tears of joy and hugged Craig. You're my little fool. These are the words I was hoping to hear from you back then, you know? I was so upset that you chose money and business over our love and calling to music. Of course I agree. I still love you. Do you remember when we first kissed? You played me the Moonlight Sonata, and then we spent the whole night looking for the Big Dipper in the night sky and passionately kissing. You wrapped me in your jacket and held me gently, hiding me from the rain, and at that moment I was the happiest. Do you believe me? Let's go home. Everyone is waiting for us there. When Lisa saw how confidently her father walked out of the car, she understood that he could see and immediately rushed to him. Hooray, Daddy! You recovered! I'm so happy! Let's go quickly. We baked you such a cake, you'll love it. Adam and I helped Carol. Adam stood shyly on the sidelines, not daring to approach Craig. They still hadn't talked properly. The man told Lisa to run into the house and approached the boy himself. Well, hello, son. Finally I see you and can look at you. Well, we look alike. Ears and a smile are definitely mine. You can't deny it. Did your mum tell you that I'm your dad? I'm so upset that I didn't know anything about you before, and 9 years of your life passed me by. But now that we've met, let me be a real father, the closest person. I would really like that. Know that I love you, son. I will never hurt you, and I will always support you in everything. He extended his hand to the boy, and he shook it firmly, and then said quietly, I'm glad you're with me now, Dad, and I see how Mum is smiling. Craig hugged the boy tightly, pressing him to himself. Now we will all live with me as one big family. You seem to have made peace with Lisa. She's your little sister, so stick together, support each other in life. Well, let's go have lunch? From that day on, the life of the wealthy businessman Craig Appleton changed dramatically. He became an entirely different person. Unexpectedly for everyone, he sold such a successful and prosperous business and threw himself into caring for his family and music. With what pleasure he approached the piano every morning, playing his favourite and long-forgotten melodies. He even took out an old music notebook. Rachel became his personal tutor, and she also taught the children. It turned out great. After all, Rachel and Craig had colossal natural talent. And then they decided to take a risk and open their brainchild, a private music school. The couple got married modestly, not wanting to attract attention to their lives. They had no time for that, as they wouldn't admire and look at each other enough. Only now did Craig realize that all these years he had been living someone else's life. He chose the wrong job, the wrong woman, and had been dragging this burden by inertia. The only thing he did not regret at all was his daughter Lisa. She was his sunshine, a stimulus to live and create all this time. Rachel quickly became friends with Lisa, as she was naturally soft, loved children, and worked at school. Carol was initially afraid that she would be fired, but Craig and Rachel hurried to reassure her. "Don't make it up, Carol. Stay in our house. You are no longer a stranger to us, and the children cannot do without you." Even with just Lisa, it was not boring here, and now there are 2 little brats. Everyone needs to keep an eye on them. All this time, Diana sat in pre-trial detention and prayed for a meeting with Craig. However, he deliberately did not hurry and dragged it out until the end. He wanted to teach her a good lesson to forever discourage her from wanting to steal and cheat. The young woman became thin, and her skin became dull and lifeless. The thought of spending the nearest years in this stuffiness made Diana feel sick, and such despair and longing overwhelmed her. Therefore, when she was told that her ex-husband was ready to meet her, she almost jumped for joy. When the skinny Diana, in a crumpled tracksuit and a greasy bunch of hair on the back of her head, entered the booth for negotiations, he even flinched. So strong was the difference with Diana he knew. She had changed a lot. There was no trace left of her former confidence and impudence. The woman quietly began to plead, tears in her eyes. "Forgive me, Craig, if you can. I know I am to blame for everything. Now I am left with nothing. I beg you, withdraw the statement. I don't want to go to jail. I'm just dying here. I promise I'll leave right away to my mother, and I'll never appear in your life again. Have mercy on me. Forgive me." Craig replied, "I hope jail served as an excellent lesson for you. You won't steal someone else's property anymore, at least not from the hands of the one who feeds you. And you won't kill your next husband either. That plan failed. I see now my vision has fully recovered. Just so you know, Lisa is a wonderful child. She gets along with Carol, Rachel, and her little brother Adam. And it wasn't about her at all. It was about you. You're a wicked, calculating, selfish person who only thinks about your interests. I'll withdraw the statement, but if you ever show up again, you'll definitely end up in jail. I've kept the camera recordings safe." Diana cried and whispered quietly, "Thank you. You're a true human being." The Appleton family lived in peace and harmony, and now many people in the city and their children wanted to attend their music school. Lisa and Adam also played, but the boy chose the guitar and drums, and Lisa still chose the piano. Rachel often composed her own melodies, and Craig wrote poetry, and they had family songs that they all enjoyed singing together. Finally, Craig's life became filled with the meaning he had dreamed of.